Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your buddy Shaunak and today we are about to dive deep into the fascinating debate between monoliths and microservices. But hold on, we are not here to convince you whether one way is better than the other. No. Our mission here is to dissect these architectures and understand their inner workings, explore the distinct advantages they each bring to the table. In today's distributed world, where scalability, flexibility, reliability are really important, the choice between monoliths and microservices carries a very huge weightage. But why should you care? Understanding the nitty-gritty of each architecture empowers you to make much more informed decision, which is tailored to your specific needs. Whether you are a seasoned developer or a curious newcomer, understanding the implications of monoliths versus microservice enables you with very invaluable insights into creating a very efficient and resilient software. So let's start.
Alright, let's start with basics. Monoliths, they are like big old reliable cars. Their system deployed as a single unit. They handle a bunch of multiple business domains. Think of them as like a Swiss army knife of software architecture. Now on the flip side, we have got microservice. Picture them as a bunch of tiny specialized drones. Each one of these little drones focuses on doing one thing well. So I've got a complex project. You can break it down into these bite-sized deployable units. Now I know we are skipping over some of the very nitty-gritty details here, but this is our starting point. Okay. Okay. Let's get real for a second. Everything has got a downside, right? Well, monoliths and microservices are no different. Let's talk about the absolute worst case scenarios for these guys. First up is monoliths. Imagine your code base resembling a spaghetti code, domains overlapping with each other without distinct boundaries. Business logic resides within the database in the form of stored procedures, results in a very limited sense of data ownership. So microservices have their own nightmares too. It's the everything is a service scenario. Imagine you have so many tiny services that your services start looking like a place of spaghetti with meatballs. Each detail becomes its own service and they're all connected through API. So making a simple change becomes too huge a task. And if one service goes down, it's like pulling a thread from a spaghetti. The whole thing can go down. So isn't easier to manage than a monolith. In fact, it might be even harder. You see, it's not about whether you choose monoliths or those fancy microservices. No. It's all about achieving the right level of isolation and autonomy for a system to evolve. There are many ways to increase isolation in your system. One trick is to find natural boundaries in your system. Imagine it's like setting up fences in your backyard. It helps you keep your neighbor's dog out of your backyard. In software, we set up APIs to protect these boundaries. Now in monoliths, you can break down your application into small libraries. Each library comes with its own clear API. Some libraries can even be deployed independently, leading to what it's called a modular monolith. Microservices by default are separated into applications that expose APIs through techniques called REST or asynchronous events. So, next, another way to improve isolation is to ensure each domain owns its own data. We make sure that each domain in your system owns its own data. It's like saying, hey, this is my stuff, you don't mess with it. Only the specific library or the microservice that owns that data is allowed to access it in the database. Everyone else, They have got to go through the APIs. It's like asking permission each and every time you want to change something in your database. This way, your domains can evolve independently without stepping on each other's toes. You can make changes without worrying about breaking stuff outside of your domain. An important aspect of isolation is also asynchronous event. You see, most of the time, software services talk to each other and like they are on the phone. They make a call, wait for a response, and they continue. But what if I told you there is a way they can just pass notes instead? That's where async events and pub/sub mechanism come into play. Instead of waiting in line, they can just send messages to a common topic. And guess what? Anyone interested in that message can listen. This creates sort of a autonomy within components. Some types of isolation only applies to microservice. In a monolith, unrelated parts of application compete for the same resources, memory, thread, CPU. It's like everyone in the family is fighting for the same TV remote. But if we split the system into microservices, we can ensure that they don't compete either using container resource limit or by deploying to altogether different machines. It's like giving each family member their own TV. So, in the world of microservice, you're not stuck with one language or text. It's like having a toolbox with all sorts of different tools. Each microservice can be written in a different language and deployed with a different stack. But why is this awesome? Well, it's like having the right tool for every job. If one service needs Python, then because it's great with a data analysis, cool, just use Python. But if another service needs Java for its speed, so go for it. It's like having a buffet of programming languages at your disposal. But now let's not sugarcoat things. Working with microservices is all about rainbows and unicorns. No. Sure, they are awesome, but managing them can be a bit like managing multiple cats. So imagine you have got dozen cats, all they all want to go in a different languages. That means you need experts in each language in each tech stack. It's like having a bunch of different instruments and you need skilled player for each one. Imagine you have got dozen cats. They all want to go in a different direction. So that how is going that going to look like? So that's what it's like to have, when you have to manage all these microservice deployments. Suddenly, you are in need of an orchestration platform like Kubernetes or Consul or some other platform just to keep everything organized. And having a polyglot architecture, while it sounds awesome, it means you need experts in each language and tech stack. It's like having a bunch of different instruments, but you need skilled players for each one of those instruments. So it's all about finding a balance between monoliths and microservices. It's like choosing the right car for a road trip. A sports car might be great for the highway, but if you're off roading, you might want a good SUV. So, if your business loves working with different languages, tools, or needs access to various technologies, a microservice architecture might be your answer. But if your team is small, it doesn't have the resources or to manage the infrastructure, orchestration, managing deployment across different platform and language might be too tough for them. In that case, a monolith might be your trusty old sedan.
So there you have it, guys. A deep dive into the world of software architecture, comparing monoliths and microservices. We have explored the intricacies, weighed the pros and cons, and now it's time to take what we have learned here today and apply it to our own projects. As you navigate the ever evolving landscape of software development, remember that the choice between monoliths and microservices is not just picking sides. It is about understanding the tools at your disposal and using them wisely to achieve your goals. Thank you for joining me in this exploration. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for notifications on future content. And as always, keep coding, keep innovating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of tech today. Until next time, this is Shaunak signing off.